Alrighty, so at this point, everyone should be seeing my screen. It should be a view of the MLS dashboard. We are at 10 o'clock, and I don't have a lot of time with you guys today, so I'm going to go ahead and get things going. I do appreciate you guys for being here. This is going to be a webinar covering some of the new features that have been added to the MLS. Feel free as we're going through things today. If you have a question on anything, throw it in the chat. I do have Nancy in the background answering questions, and then if it's something might be out of her league, I can always address that as we're going through the presentation today. So don't hesitate to put anything in there, and then I will also open it up at the very end for questions and answers as well, in case we missed something or we did not get a specific question addressed. So thank you guys for being here. My name is Angelo. I will be going through this webinar today. And as you guys can see, the dashboard does look a little bit different. The new dashboard has actually been out for over a year. You might not have ran into it, and that's totally okay. The new dashboard is really nice, really sleek looking. And the reason behind the update to the dashboard itself was to have an adaptive screen display. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever tried to log in on your cell phone into the old dashboard style that we had. You would notice that you had to zoom in and out pretty frequently throughout that page. Didn't really adjust to the device that you were working on. What's really nice with this new dashboard, it is again has that adaptive screen display. So whether you're working on a cell phone, an iPad, you plug into that 80-inch TV you got at home, your screen's going to automatically adjust to the device that you're working on. So that is a really nice benefit of the dashboard. Also, they added what they call a timeline feature. That timeline feature is really cool. It does track all of your clients' interactions on what they're doing in their One Home portal. So that way it makes it a little bit easier to kind of see from your dashboard those favorites, those notes, if they are leaving any. If you have not ran into that dashboard, it's understandable. It's not really popping off the screen at you where it's at. But to access that timeline feature, you're going to want to be in the new dashboard view. And then to the left of where it says dashboard up there in the top, you're going to see these two arrows. You click on those two arrows, and that's actually going to expand out that timeline for you. It's going to show you those different interactions. So when they're visiting their portal, adding favorites, leaving notes on properties, you'll be able to track all of that in a nice timeline format. You can adjust the notifications that you want to receive on that timeline by using the little cogwheel icon up here at the top. You will see these sliders to turn on or off for those specific notifications you would like to receive. This can also be adjusted from your settings menu under the portal notifications tab. Question in the chat, is there a different app for viewing this on the cell phone besides the MLS Touch? There is not. So MLS Touch is our app that you would download. Other than that, you would just be using the web browser on your phone to access the MLS through the browser method. But MLS Touch is our current app. If you are using Go MLS, that's no longer a thing, so you can get rid of that. Everything has transitioned over. Very welcome, Joe. Great question. Just want to point out a couple more features of the new dashboard. It's pretty easy to rearrange this screen. It's kind of like the old school style that you were used to seeing. If you notice in the top left-hand corner, you have these 6 dots on your widgets. If you put your mouse on those 6 dots, you can actually drag and drop, where you want those different widgets to be on your dashboard. So definitely get that set up to how you want your screen to be displayed. A couple more features of this dashboard are the ability to hide the speed bar shortcut bar that you see up top here. Not a lot of people use that speed bar shortcut, and they just want to give themselves a little bit more screen space to work with. Well, to do so, in the top right-hand corner, you have these 2 arrows pointed at each other. If you were to click on those arrows, you would see that speed bar disappear, and now you have a little bit more real estate space on your screen to actually navigate and do things that you would like to do. A couple more options with this new dashboard is the ability to adjust the text size on your widgets here, or what you're seeing on the screen. A lot of the times agents will zoom in and out on their browser to make it better or more clear for them to see things. What's really nice with this text feature, if you come up here to the top right-hand corner, you're going to see the 2 A's there, uppercase, lowercase. That is going to be your font size. So if you were to click on that, you're going to notice I just went to a pretty small size there. And then if we click it again, we go even smaller. And then one more click should take us to the biggest size option that we have. So you kind of have like a small, medium, and large size formatting. That way you don't even have to adjust your browser zoom level. If you want that speed bar to be back, just feel free to click on those arrows. It will re-expand and give you access to that speed bar. The next feature that I'm going to go ahead and hop in and show you guys is what we refer to as the classic mode. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with that. This is the new dashboard. It is not mandatory to use at this time. I will let you know in the future there will be a point in time where that classic mode will be going away. So it might be good to start playing around in the new dashboard, kind of training yourself how to click around, function in there. If you did want to switch back to the old school style, you still have that option. You're going to click on your name in the top right-hand corner, and then you'll see the very top option, this little toggle button for classic mode. So if you wanted to switch back, you click on the slider, tell the system, yes, I want to go back to classic mode, and then your dashboard will go back to something that you're probably a little bit more familiar with. But again, that will be going away at a certain point in time. I wouldn't say anytime soon. It's still going to be a ways out, but definitely try to get yourself trained up on the new dashboard. The next feature I'm going to show you is new to the system, and that's what we call the Branding Center. Before the Branding Center was released, you actually had to have the MLS Touch app downloaded on your phone. And then inside MLS Touch, you had the ability to change your branding that displayed in the app, in your One Home portal, things of that nature. What's really nice with this branding center is they have added it to the desktop. It's also a part of the new agent portal that was released, and it's also still inside of the Touch app itself. But having it on the desktop makes things a little bit easier to manage. And they have some really cool features in that branding center, like the ability to kind of preview what your client's One Home portal is going to look like, what your app would look like if you shared it with your clients, and even how your emails are going to look when they go out to your clients. So we're going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time in that branding center. To get there, you're going to click on your name in the top right-hand corner, and then you're going to see the option down there for Manage Branding. That managed branding will take us into a new window here where we have the ability to start to update our broker logo that's displayed, or even change the color scheme that's applied throughout the ecosystem of CoreLogic products. If you are part of one of the bigger brokerages in town, a lot of those brokerages have been added to the branding center itself. So if you see down here, you have a search option. I would say start off by trying to search for your brokerage. For example, maybe you're a Coldwell Banker agent. You can type that in, select it from the list, and then you'll notice up top here, it applies the logo, changes the color scheme. So start there, seeing if your brokerage is an option. Again, it's going to be a lot of the bigger brokerages at this time. They're still working on getting more brokerages added, but you also have the ability to even upload a custom logo and color scheme throughout. So if you're not able to search for your brokerage down there, don't sweat it. You're going to be able to come up here to the very top. You're going to see this create your own option. You're going to give that a click. And then you have 3 different settings to play around with. First one is going to be your logo. So make sure you do have your broker logo installed on your phone or your computer, wherever you're accessing this from. And then you're going to go ahead and select that upload from device option. You're going to navigate to where you have your logo stored, highlight it, hit that open button, and then you will see it be added here to the middle section of the screen where you have the ability to play around with the sizing. You can zoom in and out to make sure you can fit your full logo in there. And then once you are happy with the placement of your logo and size, you're simply going to hit the save button down here at the bottom. If you do upload your own logo, the system is going to try and pick colors that match the image that you had uploaded. Sometimes it's going to do a great job, and other times, it's going to just apply blue throughout, and you might want to add your own colors to it. You can do so just by selecting the color itself. You have the ability to play around with the color up top here. You have a slider to choose between your colors. And then if you know the specific hex code for the color scheme of your logo, you can apply that here and it'll automatically be added to the coloring throughout. So let's say we want to lighten up that blue a little bit. We change it, hit apply, and then you notice here that blue did change as well as up top there. You have three colors to change, so make sure you are getting those set to your liking. If you want to see exactly where they change, I usually change them to some funky colors. That way you can kind of see exactly where those three color schemes are being applied to. Once you are happy with your color scheme and your broker logo, you have the options to kind of get a preview of what your client's one home portal would look like. So for example, we are looking at a client's one home portal right here. So once I apply that branding, whenever my clients receive properties from me, they're going to click on that link. And it's going to take them into their portal. And then throughout their portal, they're going to see my logo up top in my color scheme applied throughout. What's really cool about getting that preview is we're actually previewing the one home portal, if you see up top, and we're looking at it in a desktop mode. We can actually toggle this on over to a mobile view, and we can kind of get a feel for how that portal would look if our clients were working off of their cell phone or their tablet. Again, you're going to see your colors applied throughout and your broker branding up top there. If you're happy with how the one home portal looks, you can move on over and do a preview of your matrix email. So whenever you do start to send those properties to your clients or you create that auto email for them, this is how those emails are going to be received by your client. So you will see up top, again, broker logo and that beautiful color scheme applied throughout. The last and final preview mode you have is the MLS client. That MLS client is going to show you what your client's portal would look like on the app if you were to share your app with them. What's really cool about sharing that app to your clients is it looks kind of like you made that app. It's branded for you, your brokerage has all your colors as well. Question in the chat, can you add your photo as I tried but could not? Yeah, so from this screen here, the photo that you're talking about, this guy here, you can actually change from the branding center. That one is still going to be controlled underneath your actual one home settings, underneath the settings tab in Matrix. I will point that out for you here in just a second, Joe. That way, in case you're not familiar with where that is or you forgot, you'll know exactly where to direct your attention. I will let you know once you have a photo uploaded, it's still not going to give you a preview here for whatever reason. We're working on that to make sure it's showing whatever photo you had uploaded, but for the time being, just going to be showing your initials on there. Let's say we're happy with all of our branding here. We're going to hit that save and activate down at the bottom. It will apply that throughout the ecosystem there. So whether I'm on my phone or a tablet or on the desktop, it's going to automatically adjust all that for me. Uh, Question in the chat, can you tell me the app you are referring to that we can share with clients? Yeah, that is the MLS client app. So if you have MLS Touch downloaded, there's an option in there to share your app. And then when you share your app, it'll direct your clients to download the MLS client app to their device. I missed where to get to Branding Center. Sorry, if you can show again once you're done with this. To get to the Branding Center, you need to be in Matrix. And then once you are in Matrix, you are going to click on your name in the top right-hand corner, and you will see Manage Branding. There's probably 3 or 4 different ways to get to and from that, so you don't just have to access it from the Settings tab. You can jump into your actual settings page and still be able to get to that Manage Branding portion. We're going to circle back to Joe's question. Joe had a question, where does he make sure his photo is changed or uploaded? That way when his clients are looking in their app, they see his lovely headshot or his broker logo. To update that photo, you're going to be inside of Matrix. You're going to click on your name. You are going to go into your settings tab. If you're under settings, you will see the My Information right here. Give that a click. And then you will see to the far right, One Home. One Home is going to be where you upload that photo that displays in your client's portal. If you don't go with the photo, it's just going to show your initials whenever they are accessing their portal. So do keep that in mind. It is always good to make yourself easily known. So get that picture uploaded, add your branding here because that will apply it to that One Home portal. Or excuse me, not branding, add your social media links here and that'll apply to the portal. We just went through where that branding was. So again, that branding center is on your cell phone, is on the computer. So make sure you do play around in there, get that set up to your liking. The next feature that they have added is what they call the agent portal for One Home. Before, the portal was just specifically for clients. They have now created an agent side to that. There's not a whole lot you can do from the agent portal itself other than, change your branding kind of like we just did, or it gives you the option to kind of mimic or impersonate what your clients would see in their portal. Same thing that we saw in that branding center. So if you haven't been to the agent portal yet, it's pretty easy to get to. You're going to get signed into PPAR.com. Once you get signed in, you get to your dashboard here, and then you'll see right next to Matrix this new icon for the One Home Agent Portal. Give you guys a little preview of that if you have not been in there just yet. Like I said, not a whole lot that you can do in here other than just look at your contacts who have those active auto emails, and also, again, manage your branding up here at the top, which would take us back into that branding center. So let's say I'm looking at my agent portal and I just want to get an eye on what Pikes Peak is doing in their portals, kind of get a feel for how they see things when I send them those properties. So what I can do is select the preview option. It's going to open up to that client's portal. So whenever my client gets those properties sent to them, they get signed in. This is what they're going to see on their end. They're going to see their properties over here on the left. They're going to see a map. And then here is that broker branding or your broker photo if you uploaded one. If not, it's just going to display your initials, nothing crazy there. If you add your social media links, you will see the logos appear for either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you are adding. So this is just what your client sees, so not much for you to do here. We as agents use the MLS, so it's going to make your life a lot easier. This is just trying to be more kind of watered down for your clients to help them look at those different properties they are receiving. Again, agent portal right here from your dashboard. Not a whole lot that you can do from there. We're going to go ahead, hop back into the MLS here, and really get into the main part of the webinar, and that's the new three-panel search is what they're calling it. If you've never been into realist tax, and this is going to look like a foreign screen to you, probably looks brand new. But if you have been inside the realist tax before and ran some searches, then the new style is going to look pretty familiar because they also work off of what they call a three-panel search. So if you would like to try that new search out, you will see the new search option at the top there. You'll give it a click and it'll take us into, again, that three-panel search. If you're curious, why do they refer to it as three panels? That is because over here on the left is your first panel. That's going to be your criteria page. So things you're used to doing, changing the statuses, putting in those price points, bed and bathroom information, the basics there. Our second panel is up here up top, and that's the map. And then our third and final panel is down here at the bottom. That is kind of like our results or our single line display. So hence the name three panel. We have three different tabs here of information. You don't have to use all three tabs at once if you don't want to. You can kind of filter it to just show the map and the results. You want to hide that criteria, you can. Or maybe you're not trying to look at the map right now. You have the option to hide that away. It's pretty easy to kind of toggle some of these things on or off. So let's say we generated our search and we're looking at our results and the map. That's what we're wanting to see. And we're trying to give ourselves a little bit more screen space. And we want this left-hand box to go away. Well, up here we have these two arrows. It'll ask if we want to hide those search fields. We can hide them. And now it just shows us the map up top and our results at the bottom. Maybe the map's taking up a little bit too much screen space. You want to see some more properties down here. You can find these three dots located in the center of the screen. You can take your mouse and then you can go ahead and pull that up to actually hide the map and look at a lovely list view of all those properties in a nice single line format. You don't have to just look at these in this single line style. If you come over here, you're going to have your sorting options. So you can, sort by the address or price, whatever you're used to doing. But then over here, we have three different tiles. We're right now currently in what we call a list view. Maybe we're not a fan of that list view. We want to get a snapshot of what the cover photo looks like on that property. So we're going to go ahead and do the thumbnail view. That thumbnail view is going to at least show us the primary photo and also some single line information. Question in the chat, can you change where each panel is? For example, could the criteria be on top and the map on the left? That is a very good question. At this time, that is not an option that we have. But that is the first person to bring that up. I think that is a very great idea. So I will pass that on to the vendor and see if that is something that is even doable. But I really do appreciate you bringing that up because I think that would be a great option as well. So I will pass that one on. And then the last option that you have is kind of like a gallery view. So maybe you're not concerned with some of that single line information. You really want to get a nice snapshot of the photos of the property. You can put it in that gallery view, and then you can actually scroll through the photos right from that screen without even needing to pull the listing up and get into a full size view. A question in the chat. Mine shows cross properties. Yours shows residential. How do I change that? Good question, Joe. We will be getting to that in just a second. Up at the top on that criteria portion that you're looking at, you will see where it shows you the property category that you're viewing, and you just use that drop down to filter between all the different categories we have. So you'll see your full list there of all those different options. It usually does default to cross property, but you have the ability to just set it as whatever default you would like. Question in the chat, can we change the fields in the list? For example, add the field for closing date. That is also a very great question, and that is something you can still do. So the functionality is still going to be the same as it was in the past, just a little bit different on how we get to doing some of those things. I'm sure most of you guys remember needing to scroll down to the bottom of your search page, hitting that add remove button to add those additional fields. Now everything is just controlled over here on the left. We're going to actually click on the little cogwheel option up top, and it'll allow us to go to a pick list of all the fields that are currently being used on that side there. So it does default to about 17 different categories, but maybe you don't use any of those. Like Dorette said, you just use the sold date and you want to plug that in. Well, everything on your left are your selected fields. You can add up to 50 to the search itself. So we would come over here to the available. We would go ahead, start to type out sold. Looks like sold might actually be one on here already. Looks like not on, it's just sold remarks. So let's see. Close. Okay, so it's a little bit different. We're not looking for sold price. This one's going to be labeled closing price. Same difference. So you just highlight that. It will add it to your list down here. Maybe you don't want to have to scroll down to the very bottom of your page to plug in a list price every day. You can actually come over here, drag it up to the top of the list, put it as that very first box. That way, when you go back to your search, it'll be right there for you at the very top. Once you're happy with the fields that you've added or rearranged, your save button down here at the bottom. And then you'll notice we now have that close price up here at the top, or if we had a close date, something like that, we would have that option. Another question in the chat, is days on market a field that can be added so homes can be sorted by the criteria? It is. So just like we added fields to our criteria page, you have that same ability to add those to your results page. Kind of like if we were creating a custom single line display, you still have that functionality, just going to be a little bit different on how you navigate that. I would say pretty much in this new 3-panel search, if you're looking to make customizations to your fields, whether that be criteria or single line, just look for the cogwheel icon. You know, we already clicked on it one time for the criteria. We'd be doing the same down here on our results. So if we're looking at our single line, we find our little cogwheel. It's going to pull up that screen we're getting used to seeing. And same thing, we can run our search here to add those additional fields. Or if we needed to rearrange, take things off this list, we can totally do that as well. So I would say look for that cogwheel. It's going to be your best friend in this new dashboard. Susan, I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you so much for that. Why is the showing time icon visible in list view, but not with the large icons on the individual listing? Great question, Steve. That is something that I have already put in a ticket for to get them added. That way, I think you're talking about when you actually pull up a property, you're looking below the photos, and we're used to seeing those icons right underneath here. I'm guessing you want a showing time button somewhere on this page. I have put in a request to get that added. So hopefully that is, updated and added for you there to make your life a little bit easier. Right on. How to search within a mileage range of a specific address. Yeah, also another great question. I know you guys are used to seeing the map option at the top where you would plug in your address and then you would plug in, how many miles you want from that. This one's going to work a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and get our map pulled back up so we can demonstrate that. We're trying to get to a specific address. So what we need to do is up in the top right hand corner, we have these three dots. Looks kind of like a snowman. And that's going to be our new actions bar. So if you remember in the old search, our actions toolbar was down at the bottom where you would have all those different buttons to send, print, email, create, save, carts, all that good stuff is now going to be tucked up here in the top. You have your three main options, but behind this actions bar, you still have, your carts, your showing time, export abilities. And then what we're looking for the specific address is we can either plug it in up top on our search here for the address, or when we're on the map, we have the, let's see, more drawing. Where is it at? I'm still getting used to the icon, so bear with me here. You're going to have the jump to location. So we're going to do that jump to location. You'll see here we have my current Colorado Springs or Woodland Park. But let's say we're looking for, that property we're going to be listing. So we would get that plugged in. Let's go ahead and just do the office here. 430 North Tejon Street. Do a search. It's going to pin where our subject is on the map. And then from here, instead of, selecting I want to be a mile or 2 miles out, we're going to use our radius tool and we're going to set that boundary line. So we're going to do a draw radius. And let's say my client say, hey, I want to be about 2 miles away from my job. We find their job on the map. We draw that radius, 2 miles or however long it is. Maybe our shape was kind of off center, not really on our starting point. We can actually move the shape as well. So it's going to be kind of hard to do here when I have a lot of information. So let's zoom in. Ooh, might be a bad example on this one. So as you can see, there's still a little bit of touchiness I'm still even getting used to. But let's go ahead and just try to clear it out. Reset ourselves here and try to draw that radius. Let's just do it up over here a little bit. Let's say that's our radius, but we're not actually on our subject there. We can take our mouse and put it on that red dot, and then we can recenter our shape if we needed to. That way, anything inside of those boundaries is what we're looking for in our search. How do you load a save search? How do you know how many miles your radius is? Yeah, the radius will tell you, you just put your mouse on the shape itself. It'll tell you before you even draw it how big it is. And if you forget, you can just put your mouse on the dot. It's going to show you that you have drawn it about 0.13 miles out. You don't even have to use what's inside that shape. Those shapes are actually good when you're trying to exclude certain parts of the map as well. So I know you guys are used to seeing all your drawing tools up towards the center. Everything's now just going to be tucked in one central location. So you still have your radius, you have your rectangle option, you still have your polygon. So if it's a really funky shape, you can get in there, get that created, and then you still have your freehand and also a ruler. So in case your clients ever ask you, how far is it from my job to where I'm going to be living? You can use the ruler. Oops. You can click and hold down on the map, and then you can, draw that distance and find yourself between those 2 points. So all your drawing tools are still there. They're just kind of tucked up here at the top. You can still draw up to 25 shapes on the map. And then if you need to clear anything that you have drawn, your little eraser icon will take that off for you. Yeah, totally understand that, Hector. Like I said, I personally wasn't using the new dashboard for a while myself. Now I'm forcing myself to learn it, getting used to where things are at, and it's starting to grow on me. So I would say if that was you and you were kind of having some issues in the past, just hop in there, It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to, but once you are, then you will be able to be an expert at the system and continue to use it how you did in the past. Just trying to make sure I am catching up on all the questions as well and still go through the demonstration here, so bear with me, guys. Is there a traffic feature for calculating commutes? So yes, there still is your driving directions as far as having your properties picked out and then getting driving directions to and from. I know a lot of agents are used to the NREX drive time up there, in some of the other MLSs up north. That's also added as a feature in the MLS as well. I think one of the coolest features with Maps there, Brandon, is the ability to get your properties uploaded into a Google map as well. So let's say we're looking at our list of properties down here, and we're going to use these top three. Doesn't matter where they're at, we're just going to be getting directions to and from. So we're going to check mark those properties, and then we're going to come up to our actions bar. We're used to seeing it down here. Now it's up at the top. So we're going to hop in there. You will see a directions button. You can give that a click. Up here at the top, it's going to map them out for us in the most efficient way. Down at the bottom is those step-by-step directions. You still have the ability to add a starting point, a stopping point. So maybe you're going to grab lunch in the middle of your journey. You can get that added in there. And then once you're really happy with those driving directions, you have the option to email them to your clients, or you have a send to Google Maps, which is a really new feature. So you can actually send that on over to Google Maps if that is someone's preferred mapping program and get navigated to those properties from there. So just like how you did it in the past, make sure that those properties are checked marked. Another question in the chat, how would I create a single line CMA? Great question, Candace. It's going to interact the same way as before. You need to check mark those properties that you want to use. And then once you're happy with those properties, just like we did in the past, we're going to select the print tab located up here at the top. Underneath print, you're going to see those full list reports that you're used to seeing, those agent reports, the customer reports, and most importantly, looks like we have the one line CMA down here, and you're looking for the single line CMA. So that one is going to be not tucked underneath the print, but actually underneath your actions. You'll have that quick CMA. So whether you like the quick, the one line, they're still going to be there, just a little bit different to navigate to those. A lot of my action buttons are grayed out. Yeah, usually what that means is you might not have properties check marked down there at the bottom. So when you don't have properties check marked, it only gives you a couple basics to use there. So what you would want to do is just go ahead on your list of properties down there, check mark at least one of those bad boys, come back up here, and you will see all those ones that were grayed out, giving you options to pick from. Uh, Yep, Victoria, I think your action bar, you might run into that same issue as Joe. Make sure you're just check marking at least one property on your list down below, and you should have all the options ungray and allow you to do whatever you would like to do in the system. Beautiful. So question from Bruce. Hi, Angela. I'm trying to figure out how can I load my saved searches that I created in classic mode to the new search window. Yeah, so your saved searches should have carried over. Let's see. Your saved searches. Let me see if I remember that one, Joe. If you're not seeing them up here at the top, that one, you're right. There isn't a drop down to pick them from. So to get to your saved searches, you can either be on your dashboard here, and you should have those saved searches maybe on this widget if you favorited them. Here's mine right here. Or the easiest way is coming up here to My Matrix, going into those saved searches. Should be a list here. Are you not seeing those saved searches carry over? Please just type in the chat if you're not, and then I will investigate after class, make sure that that feature is working as intended. Save searches showing classic results. Okay, I'll have to take a peek at that. I don't think I have any saved searches really to look at. So I will take a peek at that after class, make sure that that one is functioning as intended. We'll even go through saving a search, creating an auto email. That way we can probably test it and get a little better idea before I let you guys go. Recent searches has not moved. It's still in the top right-hand corner. If you chose to hide this speed bar, you're not going to see it. It's going to, clear out that speed bar in your recent searches. So you would need to have that expanded and your recent searches tab still up here in the top right. Going to track those last 50 searches that were ran. I think I'm caught up on most of the questions there in the chat. I do apologize if I did miss someone. I will again open it up at the end to make sure I do get everything addressed for you guys. But I want to go ahead, keep pushing forward here. I did notice time is getting kind of low there. All great questions so far, so I do appreciate the participation. Now let's just go ahead and demonstrate how you would turn one of your searches into an auto email or a favorite search, something that you're, used to doing in the old system. So it's going to work the same way when you create those auto emails. We want to make sure that we have our matches under 250. So let's just go down here. Say we want to make sure we're staying in Colorado Springs. Current price, we're going to say between 100,000 and let's do 250,000. And where's my beds and baths? Let's get some of that in there because that's really going to, looks like I don't even have that on my screen. Let's do a search here. Looks like I got too creative, cleared out a lot of my fields. So I'm just going to do a restore defaults really quick. That way, when I come back in here, I can build this search a little bit better. We'll do a residential. I'm also in cross property, so my matches are pretty high. But now that we are in residential with that price point, we see up top 125 matches. So this is a great starting point to create that auto email. Now, instead of seeing a save button like you're used to going to, it's going to give you an option to do a new save search. So that way, if you did want to just do a save search for you to look at in the system, you can do so right through save. Most of you guys use the auto email drip campaign, and it's going to work a little bit different. You're actually going to click on send instead of save, and then you're going to see underneath that send, we now have just an auto email option. Everything is grouped under the mailing tab or the send tab. So you select that auto email. If you have your contact in your contact book, great. You can start to type in their name. It'll pull them right up. If you need to add your contact, works the exact same. You can add your contact right from the screen here. But let's say I already have my contact in there. We're going to pull up Mr. Angelo here, select him from our list. We're going to go ahead and give this a subject that he's going to recognize when he's getting those emails from me. I always tell agents, make it something that your clients can easily identify in their inbox. Sometimes just even naming it after them helps a lot. Some agents, put homes for you. They'll put the criteria that was used. Totally up to you. Just make your client's life easy. You have the ability to change that welcome message like you did before and that reoccurring message for those future emails. Down below, we still have our options that we're used to seeing. So if we did need to send this to our clients via text message, we can toggle that on. If we wanted to get a carbon copy to ourselves, there's our toggle button for that. We still have our reverse prospecting to be on or off, still defaults to being on. Maybe we want to turn this auto email into a favorite search on our widget there on our dashboard. We can do so just by turning that box on. We still have our concierge mode option available. And then down here, we have our schedule of when we want those to go out. So we do have a daily, we have that ASAP still. We have a weekly option, a monthly, or even just that custom where you can do mornings or evenings. Those emails do go out at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And then down at the bottom, we have our criteria, just kind of shows us some of those parameters we used. And then once we're happy, we can hit that send option. It's going to tell us up here our auto email was created, and then the email is going to be sent to my clients. And then when I go to my dashboard, I should have a favorite search as well. If we pick text, would it then be one or the other, text or email or both? Yeah, so if you go the text message route, it's going to be just text message. So what's going to happen when you turn on that text option, your client still will receive an email asking them if they are okay with receiving text messages. Once your clients give that okay, then they will start to receive any future updates via text message. It'll send them a link to their phone. It'll say, hey, your agent has sent you some properties. Click here to view them. They click on that link. It'll pop them right into their One Home portal. So going to demonstrate again just how to run some of those templates just to make sure I did cover that thoroughly. So we're going to check mark our properties down at the bottom. We're going to use print. And let's say our clients wanted to see the property in a style, something other than One Home. They wanted to look at those properties how we see them in the MLS. So I can go ahead and do the customer full report. And I have two options. I can print, get that printed off to hand to them, or I can select PDF. And it's going to generate in that preview mode that you're used to seeing. That way you can say, okay, this is awesome. I like how this looks. Let me go ahead and email this off to my clients. Or there's those CMA options. If you're an appraiser, there's still the 1004 MC report down there. So your options are still there, just a little bit different on how you navigate and get to and from some of those items. But we're getting really crunched on time here. There's a few more things that I want to show you that are new, and that's just the overall view of the properties. So let's say we're looking down that list. We click on the property that we wanted to get more details on. We're in now what we call a full property view or 360 view. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with that. It's the just overall view of the property. You have all your details here that you can scroll on down, get your square footages, bed and bathroom information. But what's really nice about this details page is maybe you just want to focus on the rooms and you want to see, what rooms are in the house, and hopefully the, agent put the sizing of those rooms in there. Up here at the top, you have a rooms tab you can click on. It's going to actually show you the rooms of that property. If it had dimensions, they would be listed out. Also show you those room levels. The photos piece is really cool, puts it in a nice gallery format for you. But one of the newest features with the overall look of the photos, I'm going to get something that has a little bit more on there. So let's see, like this one. This one probably has a full 50 count. So you can actually click on the photo itself. And then in this new photo gallery that they've added, you're going to see up top, we're looking at all photos. But maybe my clients just want to say, hey, how do the kitchens look? I love cooking. I want to make sure this kitchen is right for me. I can click on the tab up top for the kitchen. It's showing me that they have 4 photos of the kitchen uploaded. I can toggle right on in between those 4 different kitchen photos. If you wanted to have more of a gallery format, you can do so. You'll see up here, we're looking at just individual listings or individual photos. I can use this gallery view and actually see all 4 kitchen photos in one view. Or maybe I'm interested in looking at all the bedrooms. I can click on those bedrooms. And again, it tabs them out for me. If I put my mouse on there, it'll actually show me the text that the agent had written into their remarks as well. So really cool, a lot of different features that have been added. You still have your tax tab there. You have your history, your parcel map, your flood map, and the open house tabs. A couple more questions I see. Is there a way to add a group of my saved searches to my favorite searches? Favorite searches open in the new 3-panel view. Let's see. See if I'm following your question there. So we're going to come in here to your saved searches. I should have at least, nope, I don't. I will follow up with you at the end of the class there. Make sure I'm understanding your question and walk you through on something or an example of that. You're very welcome. Can you click on a parcel next to the home to see owner? I believe that still works the same. So let's just zoom in here on this map. And let's say, we have our property here and we want to see who our next door neighbor is. We can click on it. It's going to turn purple and it looks like does not pop up with any kind of information. Yeah, nothing that's going to pop up on that. Let me double check, make sure we don't have any layers. Oop. Yeah, so that one, you can't actually click on it and see, but I will right click. Yeah, mine's not actually doing anything for me. So the one thing that I was going to show you is on the map itself, you still have all your layers to use. So if that is something you're interested in, it does default to just showing the property address, but you can actually come up here to your layers tab. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with layers. That's where those different school boundaries are, zip code boundaries. But what you can actually do is come up here and put the owner's name on there. That way, when you're navigating the map, you can actually see the owner's last name. I don't know if you can notice that. It'll put the owner's last name on the parcel for you, give you a little bit better idea. But also under that layers tab, just want to point out you guys still have the boundaries. So if you're newer to Colorado, you forget where some of the zip codes are, you can turn on that zip code layer. That way, when you're starting to scroll around the map, you'll see it now outlines in blue where our zip codes are. You guys still have all of the school district boundaries or specific schools. So that way, if you're looking through here, you know exactly where those boundaries are. But we are getting crunched with time here, and there's just two more things I want to show you guys, and that is what we call the Matrix Learning Lab. So if you look on your dashboard, you should have this little Learning Lab icon. This is a great resource to use for self-paced learning. They're going to have you watch some videos, answer some questions, go through different modules that are going to teach you all the different features of the system. So I would suggest if you're trying to learn the new dashboard, you're a hands-on learner, hop inside of there. There's going to be some great resources for you to use, a couple videos to watch, and a bunch of modules to complete. If you're not seeing the Learning Lab on your dashboard, you probably just had it turned off or hidden. If you wanted to expand that back out to your screen, click on the Edit Dashboard option. You should see the Matrix Learning Lab on this list, and just make sure you see the toggle have blue to it. If it's grayed out, it means it's not on your dashboard. So if that's you, just toggle it back on, and then maybe just drag it to the top so you know exactly where you're looking. You come up here, awesome, there's my Learning Lab. And the last feature I want to show you guys, I know I've been talking about help, different videos that are out there. People always forget we have a whole help page for you guys with different tabs you can click on for different items in the system. To get to help, you're going to click on your name in the top right-hand corner. You're going to get into the help window, and then you will see right here on the left a bunch of different user guides. So if you're more of a reader type person, open up those user guides. There's going to be some great information in there. I'm more of a visual learner and a listener, so I like to have videos playing while I'm doing things. So you can actually come in here to the video tutorials. You're going to see a list of all the different tutorials that are out there. If you wanted to just go straight to the vendor's YouTube, hop on that matrix on YouTube. You're going to see there's an agent side for you as agents. They even have some tutorials in there for your clients in case they ever get hung up anywhere. A lot of great information out there. So go into the YouTube channel for our vendor, and you're going to see once you get there, different breakdowns on some of those new features we have. So the listing photos, the 3-panel search should be on here, driving directions. So some very great resources out there. Don't forget they are there. If you wanted to get back to some of those tips of the week that you're used to seeing posted in the MLS, you can come over here to the MLS FAQs, and you can actually go to our YouTube channel. If you haven't been there, we have a playlist of all those tip of the weeks that have been posted. So definitely hop in there, watch a 1 to 2 minute video, get educated on some of those things that are out there. But at this time, I have about 10 minutes left with you guys. I want to make sure I get everyone's questions addressed. So feel free to type in the chat if there was something I didn't go through or I missed your question before. Pretty big class today, so I do apologize if someone's question did get overlooked. Was not trying to do that on purpose.